Hello and welcome to the show. Now, in the wake of Kyrie Irving's return, I've decided to do something that Steve Nash cannot seem to work out right now, and that is figure out the best Brooklyn Nets roster. It's going to get even more difficult for Steve Nash because, he's got 15 equally capable guys to pick from, basically, and as of the moment, he still can't work out the best rotation. I think today was the 15th different starting lineup we've had all season long. So obviously lack of continuity, and he's been butchering the minute allocations all year, the rotations, putting players in that simply don't mesh well, too much defense, too much offense. I acknowledge that obviously it's not all Steve Nash. There are obviously assistant coaches, and analysts as well, that also, go behind the scenes, look at stats and stuff like that just to work out what the best lineup is. But Steve Nash is ultimately the man in charge. He's the one that carries it out on game day. And, well, it's fair to say that some of our losses have come because Steve Nash doesn't do an adequate job at playing the right people at the right time. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to do a little tier list. We've got all the players from the Brooklyn Nets, and we're going to place them in starters, bench unit, third unit, forgotten. If you enjoy the video, drop a like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments what you would change. Anyway, let's jump right in. As you can see, we've got the tier list right here, and we're going to jump right in without wasting any time. First and foremost, my favorite player on the Nets this year has probably been your boy Nick Claxton, who is going to go straight into the starters as the starting center. He provides defense. He's improved his offense this season, which is something we've basically needed from him, especially, to help, compensate for the loss of Kyrie Irving. The points have to come somewhere else, and Claxton has done a fairly decent job. He's not always consistent, but, you know what you're going to get with him on defense, and effort and offensive rebounding. So he's the best guy to be in the starting lineup. It's not like we've got a lack of scoring either, and we need a scoring center. It's going to be him. Obviously, we've got to put the no-brainers in there. James Harden is going right at the top in the point guard position, and Kyrie Irving, we're doing this as if everyone on the Nets roster is going to be fully fit. Steve Nash hasn't really had a full lineup to work with, but yeah, look, we're just going to do it as if every single player is available. Kyrie Irving in the shooting guard spot. We saw what happened when the big three were on the court together at once. Good shit happened. We absolutely demolished Boston. So those three will be in the lineup, and it is just the next position. KD will probably play the 4, and then Joe Harris is going to slot in as the 3. Obviously, we have missed his service for quite some time. He really helps with our three-point spacing and whatnot. So I think once he comes back into the lineup, it's going to be a very welcomed inclusion. I think he's going to make the team much better, at least spacing-wise. I think we'll hit more threes, and, obviously Kyrie Irving's going to help with that too. So, yeah, Joe Harris, Kyrie, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Claxton is going to be the starting lineup for the Nets at full strength. And now we get to the area that gets a little bit more spicy, the bench. Let's go with the no-brainers first and foremost. Patty Mills and LaMarcus Aldridge. Aldridge playing the 5 and Patty Mills playing the 2. Patty Mills operates better as a catch-and-shoot guy, so that's why he's going to be the 2 guard. And LaMarcus Aldridge will be the center because he's been absolutely deadly in the mid-range. He is a bit unreliable defensively. He's a bit slow going sideways. But, the offense is somewhere, that needs to be strong, especially on the bench. When one of Harden, Kyrie, or KD are out, we still need a bit of offense. And these two have provided it. They're not always consistent as well. Consistency is a little bit of a problem, more so with Patty Mills. But in saying that, you know what you're going to get from these two. If they have a bad game, they're going to bounce back relatively quickly. So it's going to be those two. Bembry's been really good on defense this year, and he has surprised a few Nets fans with his three-point shooting, which I rate. He also gets in the way of, passing lanes and whatnot, which gives us some extra opportunities. And he is very energetic. He's got a bit of an IQ brain. Does a lot of cutting to the rim along the baseline, which is very nice. Especially when in lineups where we haven't had KD or Harden. For the majority of the season, Bembry has been the guy to sort of create offense out of nowhere. So he will go in that team. Cam Thomas is going to be the point. Absolutely no question about it. Cam Thomas needs to be the point guard in the second unit. He provides offense. His defensive game, I feel like people didn't really appreciate it, or, it may have been justified, because obviously it's very hard to recognize defense when your offense is that good. There's such a high standard on your offense that the defense gets shunned a little bit. But he's actually been fairly decent when he's played some defense. Been a bit vulnerable at times, and obviously as a rookie player, there's going to be those moments. But in saying that, he's brought a very unique skill set to the table, especially for a rookie. He hits mid-range shots. He's hit some very tough shots. And in times where we've been in an offensive rut, he's actually been there to, stem the tide a little bit. And that is saying something from a first-year player. So he's going to be the point guard in this lineup. And I think we also need to put... I'm tossing and turning between James Johnson and Bruce Brown. But I think it'll be James Johnson. He's got that ball handling ability, which obviously the other power forwards on our roster don't have. He can't really shoot the three. He can't really make layups. He can't really do anything. But he's actually been in some good defensive lineups with Claxton. So even though this is what you're seeing as the first 10 players on the roster, in saying that, they can obviously mix and match. We've seen plenty of lineups this season which have, sort of crossed between the two. Both units have really merged. And played minutes alongside one another. So you would have seen Johnson play with Claxton. You would see Harden and Cam Thomas. You've seen Patty Mills and Harden, obviously, because Patty Mills has been in the starting lineup. Bembry's been in the starting lineup. Johnson, not really, but Aldridge has too. And then we look at the third unit. Look, I think some of the rookies are really, really stiff. If I could, I would bring in Kessler Edwards for Bembry. But in saying that, I feel like the sample size for David Duke and Kessler Edwards, even though they were good in the games they played, it's a very small sample size to base it off. I will put them in the third unit, because I think they're deserving. Blake Griffin goes in the third unit. He's been inconsistent as hell, but he did have a bit of a stretch before, the COVID layoff, where he actually put in some good minutes and contributed to wins, especially when the team was decimated as hell. And then you put Bruce Brown in that list as a point guard or a damn power forward. I don't know. Griffin is the center. And then I guess you can put Javon Carter as the point guard because, well, goddamn, Javon Carter, how he gets minutes, it's astounding, man, because he has been pretty awful. He hasn't done too much. Defensively, that's what he's more known for, but you need to be a shooter as well. And he can't even knock down a couple of shots a game, which is fairly disappointing from a guy who we picked up trading away Shamet, who, I could have done with him, but Day'Ron Sharpe could turn into a very nice center, and he's shown a few glimpses. So whether trading Carter for Shamet was a good idea will obviously be found out further down the line. But I'm going to put Millsap and Day'Ron Sharpe into the forgotten category because I think we've forgotten about Paul Millsap. Arguably because he's not that good. And I think a lot of Nets fans will agree with me that he just hasn't lived up to the hype. He hasn't hit shots. He's been pretty slow. He pretty much hasn't offered us anything. And I think he contributes negatively to every lineup he's in. I think if you look at plus minus, he's probably in one of the worst percentiles possible for every lineup he's in. That's just a bold guess though. And Day'Ron Sharpe, people forget about him as well because he hasn't really played much. Even when, these COVID things were happening, I think people forgot about him. Steve Nash didn't even play him. He played Cam Thomas, Duke, and Kessler Edwards, and his hand was forced. But Day'Ron Sharpe only got a couple looks at it, and then he was straight back to the end of the bench. But he was pretty good in the time, he was on the court, but he's obviously got a lot of work to do. I think the focus on Day'Ron Sharpe will be more development. He's merely, a developmental piece, a project, if you will. And, we've just got to put a category for Gideon, who, is just going to go there. Anyway, that's going to be it. I hope you enjoyed this little video. I was just figuring this one out. A little change of content for you all. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to drop a like on the show and subscribe. We are doing Brooklyn Nets watch-alongs as often as possible. So make sure to tune in for those. But yeah, if you agree with me, put in the comments. If you disagree and there's something you would change, please let me know in the comments as well. And I will discuss it with you because I reply to all my comments. Have a great rest of your day. And I will see you in the next video. Peace out.